Some years ago, I gave a talk in Mumbai, and after the event I had dinner with several local colleagues. The topic of education in history was raised by someone at the table. Always a hot topic in India, where history, and particularly university education in history, has been wrapped up with politics since at least the 19th century. In fact, when we divide up broad trends in Indian historiography, colonial, nationalist, Marxist, we are quite tellingly often using political terms for them. Several people at the table offered thoughts on the deleterious impact that politics had on historical education, and as a knock-on effect on the quality and reputation of research, particularly on pre-modern history, and particularly the politics of Hindu nationalism, which at the time was beginning to enter its current ascendance. Some of those at the table were quick to point out that we often use politics as a bogeyman to avoid talking about deeper, more systemic issues. India just isn't as rich as most Western countries. It's very hard for its publishers and institutions to compete because they don't have the same level of resources. The ASI, the Archaeological Survey of India, does not have the funds to do what the PAS, the Portable Antiquities Scheme, does in the UK. But one colleague made a remark that really stuck with me. They referred to the Channel 4 television series Time Team, which ran from 1994 to 2014. That colleague had only seen a handful of episodes, but they recognised what a profound thing Time Team was. In each episode, nearly 300 in total, a team of archaeologists would visit a site in the UK and dig for 3 days. The progress of the dig and the results would be presented by the British comedian Tony Robinson. But when this first aired, and I remember watching that, this was a very unusual programme. This was not, as so much television is, telling you what happened in the past. It was showing you how we know, how we find out, how we understand and explore the past.
If it's that deep, Francis, how are we going to dig it in 3 days?
We'll only do that with some big equipment.
But aren't you liable to damage some of the finds if you do that?
No, the point is that they're down here, but they're buried under, 1.5 metre of river-borne flood clay alluvium. So there'll be nothing in that. You can whack that off completely safely. You won't hurt anything.
Fantastic responses. These are classic kiln anomalies.
That's a bit of a jump, isn't it, from good responses to it being a kiln?
Oh, no, they clearly are. The first geophysics was actually used not far from here, over 50 years ago, alongside the A1, looking for kilns.
We have to pull this thing together very, very carefully, very, very systematically, and do things in terms of relative stratigraphy. In other words, one thing is earlier or later than another. That's the way we've got.
And it was that, the discussion of process, which my colleague thought was so central. There was nothing remotely like Time Team in India, but millions of people were watching it every week in the UK. And in doing so, they were getting an introduction to both the practical realities and the theoretical problems of a major historical discipline, archaeology. And Time Team never shied away from process or the uncertainty that comes with it.
Beginning of day 2 here in the pottery-strewn fields of Stilton in Cambridgeshire, and we found 2 very interesting skeletons, but we haven't yet found a pottery kiln. At least that's what I think, although some of the archaeologists disagree. We are all agreed
Viewers saw why specialisms like ceramics, numismatics and geophys mattered, and my colleague concluded that Time Team and its successors and imitators had so permeated British culture with a basic understanding of how to do archaeology, that any random member of the public in the UK would have a better understanding of theory and methods in pre-modern history than a second-year undergraduate in an Indian institution. In fact, those were my colleagues' exact words, and they really did stick with me. In their view, they had to play catch-up in the early part of every course, filling in basic information about what words mean and how you do things and what it's for, that anyone with an enthusiasm in Britain would already have known before they even got to a university lecture. It provokes a lively discussion, and whether or not Indian scholarship actually does lag behind that of other English-speaking countries, and the causes, if you accept that it does, are in fact quite complicated. But the remark stuck with me, because Time Team was important. And Time Team has an official YouTube channel. It started putting content online before the series ended, but in the last year, and this is what caught my attention, I only found out about it a few months ago, they started uploading old episodes on a dedicated channel called Time Team Classics. It looks to me like there are about 80 of them available, mostly from the last 5 or 6 series, and they appear to be uploading 1 or 2 more of the old episodes every week. I cannot recommend enough that you go and watch them. Not only are they an education in English archaeology and a remarkable chance to learn about the practical and theoretical problems, they are also just very well made television. It's nearly a decade since I last saw one of these, and watching it now, even episodes I remember do not feel dated. No excuses. These are fundamentally entertainment. The 3-day limit, which we are reminded of at the start of each episode.
Even be evidence of one of the rarest and trickiest of archaeological prizes, an Anglo-Saxon settlement. As usual, we've got just 3 days to find out. We've got just 3 days to find out. And we've got just 3 days to do it.
That 3-day limit is there to create a sense of drama. Yes, archaeologists sometimes operate on time limits, but very rarely in this kind of manner. And because of the need for drama, surprise, relatable characters, all narrative demands on the programme as a television programme, there is the occasional bit of fakery in the production. Watch this clip.
I'm just half sectioning up this bit of pit that's coming out.
Oh, fantastic.
And yeah, there you go, let's get that. That's the biggest bit I've seen on the site so far.
Well, that's...
You might want to rewind if you missed it, but that shard is not embedded in the earth. It's already been dug up. And this is a very typical example. The cameras cannot be everywhere. A find will often be placed back into the ground so that the cameras can be brought over and shoot the discovery. And it's not that unusual that neither the person who found it nor the identifier appear on the camera. They'll often be substituted by well-known faces within the regular cast for that discovery shot. But the programme does not shy away from mistakes and errors. The producers learnt the value of authenticity quickly. I had the opportunity to speak to a member of the production team nearly 2 decades ago, and they explained that in the very first episodes they were terrified that they wouldn't find anything. So much so that they actually had material on hand, but they soon realised that it was so much more real if the archaeologists could fail. And sometimes they did.
Phil's understandably cautious about anything he finds because we don't have a great track record of locating Anglo-Saxon settlements. In Langorst, we were looking for evidence of an Anglo-Saxon community.
There's nothing really.
So no bank, no ditch, no structures at all. We're dealing with a hedge then.
We're basically a hedge line.
Okay, right. Well, we'll obviously stop.
Great. In Hartlepool, we opened up 7 trenches in search of an Anglo-Saxon nunnery, but found no signs of any structures. So you've had a good time, but we haven't found anything.
We've had an amazingly challenging time. We had a lot of fun, but no, we haven't found anything.
But in Eastry, after 14 trenches looking for a Saxon palace, we thought we'd finally got something.
Tell me if this is evidence of a Saxon community.
Is this it?
And it's that authenticity which made Time Team shine. No doubt it's why a crowd-funded resurrection on YouTube, which has happened recently, seems, in hindsight, almost inevitable. Again, I cannot recommend highly enough going and watching some of these. And I'm not going to lie to you, Time Team was always controversial. I have known many archaeologists and historians who do not share my view of its benefits, who see it as a parody of their discipline, filled with artificial drama, and not really that different to an Indiana Jones film. But I've always had the impression they are a minority. So much of the incredible scholarly depth in British archaeology and the granularity in which pre-modern British history is known particularly its material culture, which is quite unparalleled outside of Rome, Athens, or a few sites in Egypt, is a result of a popular culture that appreciates method and process and understands that those are what make history, not the story you finish with. And Time Team is both a reflection of that and a fundamental contribution to it.